Late Night Health continues. I'm Mark Alyn, along with the insane Daryl Wayne. We thank Daryl for everything that he has done for us over the years, and we look forward to many years more of working together here on Late Night Health. We're going to do something a little bit unusual right now. There's a new book out by a young man. His name is David Young. It's called The True Story of Jesus and His Wife, Mary Magdalena. Their untold truth through art and evidential channeling. And on the cover, it says this book is not about religion, and he is not a Christian. But we are going to talk about health, channeling, and the fact that Jesus was a healer. David, welcome to Late Night Health.
Nice to be with you guys.
You travel a lot. You're based on the East Coast, but you do travel a lot. I know you're going to have an event in the Southern California area sometime in February. How did you get interested in following the life of Jesus as a healer?
Well, because I grew up Jewish, I really wasn't interested in him at all, like zero. But what happened was that I started doing these events, these meditation events, because I played 2 flutes at one time, and I've sold over 1 million CDs, and I started doing these events that were called a portal between heaven and earth. And that consisted of an introduction where I spoke for a half hour to open up people's minds so people can understand what's possible. Because most people don't know what's possible spiritually. And during these events, I would do a 30-minute meditation, and then people would have a chance to share their experiences. And then we would take a short break, then do a second meditation, and then have a second chance for people to ask questions about their experiences or to share. And over the first 6 months that I started doing these events, about 500 people who were attendees at my event, when the meditation was over, shared that they had a conversation or spiritual travel with their mom or their grandmother or a best friend from childhood who died young. And in the beginning, when this first started, I didn't even know this was possible. So it was really bizarre for me to be sitting in front of an audience and having these people share what, their grandfather said, you lost your watch 3 years ago, and it's behind your dresser in your bedroom. I know you can't find it. Can you imagine a guy at my meditation event getting a message from his deceased grandfather about where this guy lost his watch 3 years ago?
No, but I'd love to find out from my grandfather, but I didn't have a watch. I'd just like to say hi. How you doing?
Well, it's actually a lot easier and a lot simpler than we think it is, because in the same way that if, let's say you have a fish tank in your house, right?
Right.
And you've got little fish, swimming away from the bigger fish, and you can look into that fish bowl real easily, but those fish are so caught up in their own world of survival, they're really not paying that much attention to you in sitting across the room from them, watching them in the fish bowl, right? Well, that's the same way that our loved ones look into our lives from the heavenly dimension. There are so many people who have had experiences where they go to a channeler, and the channeler connects with, let's say, somebody's grandmother. And the grandmother would say, those earrings that you wore at my funeral, they really did not go with your dress.
Before we started, I told David I could be somewhat of a smarty pants, and David said, not as big as he is. He just proved...
But I'm serious.
Yeah, I know. But you started with the meditations, I'm assuming, because meditation is healthful. It wasn't about the spiritual aspect. Has that kind of grown into your meditative training?
Yeah, that's what I was going to lead right into next. The thing is that, so after 6 months and 500 people have shared these experiences, it became a normal thing, because I do 3 or 4 events each week, and actually I just did my 396th event in the last 4 years. And so
wow.
I got used Yeah, I got used to hearing people. A lot of times people would say they would share this experience that I called the lineup, where their entire family in heaven would line up and wait their turn to give that person a hug or a kiss or a message for them or one of their cousins still living on Earth.
Do you think that most people would like to have a contact with the dearly departed?
Well, if they had a good relationship with them when they were alive.
That's true.
You know? 'Cause there's some people that, you know, if you didn't have a good relationship with you're happy you're not in communication with them. I mean, there are, that's possible for many people. I think it's intriguing to people, and as life expands and as humanity takes steps higher and higher up the spiritual ladder in this time that's called the Age of Ascension, because humanity is experiencing this big step up, and you can totally tell we're experiencing a step up by our president. No, I'm just joking.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
But I've actually come up with a spiritual understanding. It took a lot of higher understanding to understand how spirituality relates to politics. But
or the lack of spirituality too, or integrity. One of the things that intrigues me is that while you were teaching meditation and doing your music, two flutes, that's amazing to me. At the same time, what's interesting to me is that this was all about health, and then you really brought out spiritual health, and you became an artist as well. This is a beautiful book that I'm looking at. A lot of it is abstract, but it's still very pleasing to look at and to view. Had you always been artistic, or had you not been able to draw a straight line with a ruler?
Oh man, art was not my thing at all. That was like a process. I had no idea that those 50 paintings were going to end up being part of the story of the book, because when I was making those 50 paintings, I didn't know that the Heavenly Family, was like channeling where Jesus and Mary Magdalene lived in the south of France through my paintings, until I went to the south of France and I realized, oh my God, this place where they lived in this cave at the top of the mountain in the south of France, I painted it. I painted it like 5 different times from different angles.
Have you been there? Had you been there?
No, not in this lifetime. So I was making these abstract paintings that I thought were just abstract paintings. I didn't realize that these paintings were connecting. They were giving me this information about where they lived so I could make it into the paintings. And just imagine that some of these paintings I made a year or 2 years before this book was even an idea. And then I went to France and I went to these places where they told us to go. And I got to see these places where they lived. I made all of these paintings about 2 figures in a cave. There was no reason for me to make any paintings about caves. I've never lived in a cave. I don't think about caves. I couldn't understand why I was making these paintings. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so that was really bizarre. But let me tell you how this whole thing transitioned from my meditation events called The Portal Between Heaven and Earth, and to how everything evolved. So after 6 months and 500 people had shared these experiences of reconnecting with one of their loved ones, and it's just a normal thing in my day, 3 or 4 nights a week, I'm going to hear this from 5, 10, 15, 20 people, right? Well, after 6 months, one of my friends asked me to do an event at his place and talk about a little bit different information in my introduction than what I would normally spoke about. And 3 people at that event all saw Jesus standing in the same spot in the room. Now, because I was a skeptic, because I believed that being skeptical showed people I was intelligent. Maybe some of the people listening out there can relate to that, because we're taught, you don't believe what you hear, and we're taught to be skeptical. Like, skeptical is like a part.
I am the biggest skeptic in the world.
Okay, so.
And I'm not from Missouri.
Yeah, well, I'm from Brooklyn, and they have skeptics in Brooklyn also, just in case you
Got it.
So 3 people see Jesus standing in the same spot in the room. And because I grew up Jewish, like, how do you wrap your mind around something like that? So the truth about this is that when the first 2 people shared, I just thought they were crazy, because I'd never heard of anybody who had an experience like that. But while I was packing up, this woman, who was a very shy woman, came up to me at the end of the event, and she said, I didn't want to say anything in front of everybody, but I saw Jesus standing in the same spot as the other 2 people.
Did you yourself?
I didn't see him at that event, okay? So what happened was that there was this famous channeler from Canada whose name was Bob Murray, who was explaining to me why these people were having these experiences at my event. He was a really incredible spiritual guy, and
we're gonna have to take time out and do some work, and then we'll come back. Our guest is the author of The True Story of Jesus and his wife, Mary Magdalena, David Young. The book is not about religion, and he's not a Christian. We'll find out more as Late Night Health continues. Visit us at latenighthealth.com. We'll have a picture of David and a cover picture of the book and a link to David's website. I'm Mark Alyn, along with the insane Daryl Wayne. Don't go away. More coming up here on Late Night Health.
The show continues in a moment.
Welcome to Guide to the Soul. This is Robert Clancy. Balance in life isn't about making everything equal. It's about sharing equal parts of your heart for each area of your life. Many people seem to struggle with bringing their life into balance. Family, work, and health all seem to be a challenge these days. Think of the demands you have on your own schedule and time. It can be frustrating and overwhelming. What's most important to discover is that peace is not about finding a quiet place among the chaos. Peace is about listening for the divine whispers of love amidst this turmoil. Take a breath and you will find balance.
For more inspiration from Robert Clancy, visit guidetothesoul.com or go to the Moments with Robert page on latenighthealth.com.
The latest from the greatest, the best in new music by classic rockers, with your host, the insane Daryl Wayne.
This is Alice Cooper, and if Daryl Wayne is insane, what does that make me criminally insane? Stick around to find out.
Many of the artist interviews for the latest from the greatest have been captured on audio book. There is a Volume 1 and Volume 2. Great information and conversations with people in the industry and people surrounded by the industry, and of course the rock stars themselves.
I'm the Reverend Al Green, and you're listening to the insane Daryl Wayne. And I said Wayne Insane.
You can find it on Amazon or Blackstone Audio. Search for the latest from the greatest from Daryl Wayne, Darrell Wayne.
Hello, this is Weird Al Yankovic, and you're listening to the insane Daryl Wayne, aren't you?